Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Kakodash. Double honor to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and salutations to the elect of the nation of Israel, starting off with the 144,000, which will be the ruling governing body in the kingdom of heaven, which shall be all men, the 144,000. Also to the rest of the 1/3, which will be men, women, and children, that will be believers here in America, Babylon the Great. 2/3 of our people would be destroyed, right? You have the rebels that would be scattered abroad in different countries that would be destroyed, and you have the elect that's scattered abroad in different countries that would be saved, who the world ignorantly and willingly calls black, Hispanic, Native American, Puerto Rican, Dominican, Jamaican, Haitian, Guatemala, Panamanians, Cubans, right? We are the Israelites, contrary to people willing to believe it. I'm your brother Romeo, coming to catch y'all another lesson from End Time Headlines. It says, article says 8 kids ages 1 to 14 killed in mass shooting across Shreveport, Louisiana, as gunman targets his descendants. Right? You know, this is a sign of, the love of many waxing cold, man. Right? Let me get that real quick. This is Matthew 24 and verse 12. It says, "And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold." Right? So, not really sure, if this is an Edomite. Mainly Edomites do stuff like it because they bloody men. But, you've had Jakes do stuff like this. But ultimately, it's the Lord sending evil spirits down, man, upon people to do these things. Right? But the average Christian, doesn't understand that. They think it's just, it was just Satan came up with the idea himself. Right? But nah. It was really ordained, right, for this to happen. For whatever reason, it's judgment. That's the reason, right? It's judgment. And you can look at the ages and be like, oh, well, they didn't deserve this or that. They didn't deserve to perish. But, hey, nobody is above judgment, man. It doesn't matter your age. It doesn't matter who you are. YASHAMIAHLA, if he wants you out of here, you're going to be gone. Right? No matter by who, in what way, you're going to be out of here. This is Job 4 and verse 7. It says, "Remember, I pray thee, whoever perished being innocent, or where will the righteous cut off?" Right? Like I said, the Lord doesn't care about who you are, how old you are, where you come from. Hey, if it's your time, he's going to get you. Right? And, hey, it was those people's time. Right? Who knows what whoever that was that killed the kids, who knows what they had going on in their life, man. But either way, it's the Lord and the spirits now, man. There's a lot of things going on in the world, with this Iran thing. You got the price of gas going up, right? Hey, people don't care about each other like that. You could say, right? People don't see a future in this place. People can't take it no more, So that's probably why this happened, on a carnal level, right? But let me see. It says a total of 10 people were shot, with 2 adult women surviving despite severe head injuries as the violence unfolded across several locations in single neighborhoods. So it's probably just somebody who just was done, who didn't care no more, man. But it's ultimately the Lord put the spirit on them to do that, It was judgment time, right? And these things are going to happen more and more. They're not going to, die down. They're not going to what you call lessen, right? Or lessen. That's the correct word, right? Because people don't see a future in this place, man. And people don't see the world getting better. It's going to get worse and worse, right? Let me see. Let me see, it's in Amos real quick. All right, Amos 3 in verse 6, it says, "Shall a trumpet be blown in the city, and the people not be afraid? Shall there be any evil in the city, and the Lord have not done it?" You see, hey, the Lord does all these things, right? Evil in the city, people die, they will get shot, right? The Lord is the one who did it, man. You can believe whatever you want, but the the scriptures say what they say, right? You don't gotta believe it. You know, that's just more of a reason for the Lord to take your ass out. You know, but you know, people out here, man, they got demons on them, man. You know, and these demons, they ready to crash out, man. You know, we in the times of people, you know, being against each other, right? Family against family, right? You go to what's that, Matthew 10, right? And this is why you gotta keep your head on the swivel, man. You know, I think it's in this chapter. All right, this is Matthew chapter 10. I can get Matthew chapter 10, verse 21. It says, and the brother should deliver up the brother to death, right? This is Yahushua speaking, and the father the child, and the children should rise up against their parents and cause them to be put to death. This is talking about on a persecution type level towards this faith, towards this truth, but it's also in the way of people coming against their own family members just in general, right? I remember I did a lesson on, I think I remember I did a lesson on, I think it was people against certain people it was some Edomites, I think that was like against Trump. They was like a family, and so one of them killed, you know, the other family, man. These are what times we in, man. People don't care, man, you know. There's no easy spirit. You know, I'm looking at a box that says that, but, you know, there's a harsh spirit that's out there. There's a spirit of confusion, chaos, death, and that's the Lord sending that division, right? Because this place is wicked. You know, these people are wicked, man. All these people, all these kids was wicked. You know, you gotta understand reincarnation too, man. You know, you can't be in your feelings and be like, oh, well, they didn't deserve it. Well, they was here before, man. We all been here before, and this is how the Lord judged them in this lifetime for what they did in their past lives. You know, somebody who's 1 year old on this side, they was only here for 12 months. Well, they got judged, right, all the way up to 14 years old. You know, and those two women as well, they died. They all got judged. It doesn't matter who you are, man. You people are going to understand it, right? You go to Ezekiel, I'm not going to read it, but it tells you slay old and young, right? You know, this is what the Lord is doing in the earth, and it's going to continue. You know, it is not going to get better. I'm going to get Luke 12 and matter of fact, I can get this same chapter, Matthew 10 and verse 34. It says, think not that I'm come to send peace on earth. I have come not to send peace but a sword, right? So this is the spirit that the Lord has in the earth, man. You know, confusion, right? Anarchy, right? This the spirit of the purge, you know. And that ain't just a movie, you know. That's gonna be a real life thing pretty soon, man. You know, imagine when there's no police, there's no body to save you, so to speak. Which is they already, a lot of cities here in America and Babylon, they already not responding to calls. They already, you know, lacking in the men force, right? Let me get this in verse 35. This is pretty much going the same thing what I read in the earlier chapter. For I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and the daughter against her mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And a man's foe should be they of his own household, right? You know, people trying to be in that, oh, I love everybody's spirit. Hey, that ain't gonna be that's not the spirit out here, man. You know, we not in the time of love. We not in the time of coming together, kumbaya, you know, bygones be out. No, we not in that spirit, man. It's pretty soon, man, when things get real dire out here, it's gonna be every man for themselves. You know? But if you don't understand these things, you're really wicked, right? Because the scriptures tell you, it says, evil men understand not judgment, right? Let me get that. I think that's in Proverbs. Yeah, this is Proverbs 28:5. It says, evil men understand not judgment, but they that seek the Lord understand all things. You see that? So if you don't understand this as judgment, you think that they weren't, you know, who are you? You know, you're not YASHAMIAHLA. The Lord sanctions who lives and dies and who does what on the earth, right? Man's goings are the Lord. How can a man understand his own way? So, you know, this happened, and it was ultimately ordained, right? You could say, well, they shouldn't have did this, or that person shouldn't have did this. Well, you didn't have no control over that. That person didn't even have control over it. You know, it was meant to be, right? And it was ultimately judgment, man. You know, it's ultimately judgment, man. You know, it's showing you what times we in and what's gonna come. Right? They're not gonna care about what age you are. Right? If somebody wants you taken out, they're gonna do it. You know, people don't have no care in the world, man. You know, so I just want to do this quick video, man. You know, there's going to be more things like this, man. And mass shootings are pretty much normal in America, man. You know, everybody knows that. You know, you could say, oh, it's unfortunate. Well, it is what it is. If you're not tapped in with YASHAMIAHLA, you're susceptible to these things, right? You're not free from these things happening to you. You be in a situation or you being somewhere and shots ring out and you get caught up in it, you know? But that's why you Israelites got to repent, man. But we know this is only for the elect, right? The elect ain't going to, ain't going to be around stuff like this. Or if you are in a situation where things happen, the Lord's going to protect you, you know? So, hey, don't expect these things to lessen up, man. Like I said earlier in the lesson, expect more of these things. Expect more. This ain't a false flag, but expect more big casualties of people dying, right? We're in the time of mass judgment, man. It's not going to get better. It's going to get way worse before it gets any better, But that's why we're going to need divine intervention from YASHAMIAHLA to protect us and deliver us, The name of the Lord is a strong tower, man, and the righteous run into it and they are safe, So I hope this video is edifying. I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Kakwadash. Double honor to the elders and apostles of the Great Millstone. Till next time, I want to say, Abba Shalom.